Okay. Is my screen visible, Ranga?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. So, we completed the topology, right? And
Yes,
even in the designer, we have completed this models.
yes.
So, okay, I think we have just imported the sales underscore source. So, we'll import even the sales underscore staging tables. Okay.
Oh,
So,
okay.
let me do that quickly. So, new model, I'll say staging. Okay. So, I think I have also created only one table or what? Okay, fine. So, I'll create these tables and I'll share it with you, Ranga. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So, for now, maybe we'll use this one table. Yeah? So, that way it's easier. So, basically, once we have imported the source and the target data stores, the tables into the models, then we'll create the mappings under the projects folder. Okay.
Staging in the
Not
sense target table.
no, basically no, before loading into the warehouse, we load the data into staging.
Okay,
Okay, because if you try to implement all the transformation logic while while importing the data from source, then it might hamper the performance of the source system.
okay,
So in order to avoid that thing, what we do is we load the data as is into staging area from the
okay,
source. And when we load the data from staging to the data warehouse or to the data mart, then there we'll apply the transformation logics.
okay,
So basically from source to staging, it will be one-to-one load.
okay,
Okay, with just the incremental data. So those
okay,
loads are called as source dependent loads, or SDE, source dependent extracts.
okay,
So always the source dependent extracts will be one-to-one with minimal transformations.
okay,
So that is the purpose of creating those SDE mappings, to pull the data from source to the staging one-to-one or with bare minimum
okay,
transformations. Okay. So
okay,
under this GUI workspace, sorry, projects workspace, we'll try to set up a new project here. Okay, and then we'll
okay,
see how to create folders to organize our work. Okay, then we
okay,
will see the various tools that are available within that, mappings, reusable mappings, procedures, knowledge modules, etc. So basically what are those, and then how to use the markers at the project level, etc.
okay.
Hmm.
And while
So
we are doing that mappings,
hmm,
how data will be take from SD, and from SD how will move data to silos, and from silos to PLP will do na? That we can do
oh
it,
yeah,
that we can follow that steps.
same thing, yeah. Right. So basically what is this project? Basically, a project is a collection of ODI objects created by various users for a particular functional domain. Okay,
Okay,
So basically, like when it's a functional domain, it can be like data warehouse, or like when we say data marts, it could be sales data mart, HR data mart, finance data mart, and so on. So basically,
Okay.
in the project, we will be creating multiple objects for loading the data into our required environment.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new project. Okay, so to create a new project, we'll have to click on this new project button and say new
Okay.
project. If we have an export of the project, existing projects, then we can import the project. If we don't
Okay.
have, we'll create a new project. We will have to give a name. Okay, so if
Okay.
this is for like say finance module.
Okay.
Okay, so we can give dw underscore finance, or you can just give finance also. Okay,
Okay.
so now the project is created. So now if we expand the project, we can see that like no, this project contains, by default it has created a folder, first folder.
Yes.
So if you want, we can like no rename it. We can change it to SDE. Okay,
Okay.
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 So under these folders, we can see packages. Okay, then we can see
Okay.
mapping, reusable mappings, procedures, variables, sequences, user functions, knowledge modules, and markers.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go one by one. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, a folder is just like as I said, a normal folder that we created in Windows as well, right? In the D drive, C drive, we create various folders, right, to organize our
Yes.
work. So similarly, here also, like if you want to group SD mappings at one place, SIL mappings at one place, okay, post load, all those things. For those things, we will be like creating different folders just to organize the data or organize our code in a beautiful way, so that there is no confusion.
Okay.
Okay, so that all the SD mappings, SD packages, procedures, everything will be at one place. So just it's for organizing our code.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, if you want to
See
create a few
the
other
day.
new,
Okay.
yes, yeah, good.
Oh, no, carry on.
So if you want to create another folder, so right click and say new folder.
It's new folder means it's for mapping, one more mapping.
Right, this
Like
is for
SD source.
SDE, right? So if you want to create for
Yes.
PLP
Okay.
or any other things, so just right click on the project and say new folder. That's it.
See, under that SDE, we need to create one more mapping. Means how we can create?
One more subfolder you are saying?
No, no. Under that mappings, we can create so many mappings, right? Okay.
Yeah. So if you create mappings here, it will all get grouped under this SDE folder.
Okay.
Similarly,
Okay.
if you create a mapping here, it will get created under this PLP folder.
Okay. And for SDE, Silos PLP, in each module we need to create mapping or how?
Yes, this we need to create mapping.
Okay.
So like if you want to move this folder under this folder also, we can move it.
Okay.
So now you can see under this SDE we have subfolder as PLP,
Okay.
like this.
Okay.
Either like you can make it subfolder or like that. Okay. So basically, generally in your existing project, you might not create new projects or new folders because they will be already existing projects and folders, right? Where you would be
Yes.
working.
Yes.
But this is I'm just explaining you so that like in fresh projects or like the projects where there is nothing, where you need to start
Okay.
from scratch. This will like help you.
Okay.
And like whatever the objects that you create between this project, you cannot share it with other projects.
Okay.
Now we have this finance project, right? If you create one
Yes.
more project, okay, now if you create some mapping over here,
Yes.
okay, then you cannot move this mapping to the other project.
Okay. For to HR we not move. It's not.
Yeah, so under that project only we'll have to create. Only few things
Okay.
can be like created here, global, which can be
Okay.
used in any project.
Okay.
So here you can see these variables, sequences, user functions, knowledge modules, okay, markers. These are local.
Okay.
So if you create in this particular project, it will be local to this project only. You cannot use it in other project.
Okay.
So if you want to create a kind of a generic variable, a generic sequence, anything which you want to use across multiple projects, then we'll have to create under this global objects workspace.
Okay.
Okay. So far any doubts?
No, no, no. Like the reusable mapping procedure sequence that we all see, na, when we will do mapping.
Right. So after folder, you can see we have packages, right?
Yes.
So package is nothing but like organizing our mappings, how we want to execute our mappings. Basically like first which mapping should get executed, second which mapping, third which mapping, etc. So basically the flow.
Okay. With the
So
help
even
of
in
package,
load,
we can do.
similar to kind of a load plan.
Okay.
Okay, in load plan also you can see, right, the mappings get executed one after the other, or some of the mappings get executed in parallel. Packages are also the same to like create the flow. Earlier in earlier versions of ODI, load plan was not available. We just had the
Okay.
package. But now with the 11G, they have introduced the concept of load plan. In earlier
Okay.
versions of ODI, we didn't had the load plans. Then mappings. Mapping is nothing but a like ODI object or code. where we can define the transformation rules, how the data will move from source system to the target system.
Okay.
And under mappings, we have various components like filter, join, union, and other tools that would be helpful in performing those transformation rules.
Okay.
And then we have reusable mappings. Reusable mappings are nothing but like no mappings which we can like no call it in multiple mappings. If like no the logic is same, then we can
Okay.
like no build a reusable mapping and use that logic in n number of different mappings. So no need to create the mappings each time with the same logic. So like no we can call
Okay.
this reusable mapping part into that main mapping.
Okay.
And then we have procedures. Okay, the procedure will also do the same almost similar work what a mapping can do, but like no where there are certain limitations with the mapping, or like no if you want to write some SQL code etc., then we go with the procedures.
In procedure also we will do that mapping everything.
Yeah, even in procedure we can do the mappings like no from source
Close
to
to
the target.
target.
Yeah, those things we can do.
Okay.
Okay, then variables are nothing but like no, a placeholder where we'll store a value. Okay, so we can
Okay.
store values, either static values or dynamic values. Okay,
Okay. Well,
then
see,
sequence.
if we create one variable and we'll refresh that variable means what is that? Refreshing variable means what? How it will
refreshing
work?
variable means refreshing variable means it's a dynamic, like the value will change at the runtime.
How it will work? Like I don't know. Like when they are speaking like refresh variable like that. Okay, while we are doing mapping, we can use that. We can see once that.
Okay, here we'll be assigning some variable name. So variable underscore um, okay. So variable underscore product. Okay. So to create a variable, just right click on the variable and say new
Okay.
variable. Okay.
Okay.
So this window will open. So under the definition tab, provide the variable name. So I said variable
Okay.
underscore product data type. What this will hold? Alphanumeric means it can hold both number as well as character data. If you want only
Okay.
character data, we can select text. If only numerical
Okay.
data, we can select numerical. If it is a date, we can select date. So variable can hold only one value. Okay,
Okay.
it cannot have multiple values. It will hold only one value.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you give the value here, okay, if I say like this is the product, if I put this default value over here, it becomes static.
Okay.
So whenever you pass this variable into any mapping, it will just pass this particular value.
Okay.
Okay, but if you don't want to use a static value, but if you want to pass dynamic values at runtime, then we need to go to the refreshing tab. Okay,
Okay.
and here we need to select under which DB we need to execute that query. So I'll say
Okay.
sales schema. Okay, then here I need to write that particular query to fetch the
Okay.
product. So if I say select product name from products and try to execute here, what will happen? Can you just tell me?
It will take product name from that all names it will take or that exact whatever given we name only that will take.
It will like no fail actually.
Okay. Why?
If I run this command, we can see it is pulling so many values, whereas
Yes.
variable can store only one value.
Okay.
So now if I try to execute this one, okay, it is saying valid query. So there are no syntax errors. So now let's try to execute this query by clicking on the refresh button. Okay. So I'll say execute on the development context and I'll give the log level as 6 and I'll click on OK. So the session has started. We can go to the operator and check the status. It has just picked the like no only one value I can see, right?
Okay.
Generally like it should have failed because like with this query it is getting multiple records. So
Yes.
basically we'll be writing like kind of subqueries where product underscore id in and the subquery will write the subquery so that like it always fetches one value.
Okay.
So when you are using variables in any of your mapping or anything, okay, always execute using the log level as 6.
Okay.
Then only this variable, whatever the value it is capturing, we can find it out by clicking on this variable and sequence values button.
Okay.
Okay, now if I execute the same variable with log level 5 or less than that, then the variable will value will not get captured.
Okay.
Okay, now here I have selected 5. It's okay. Sorry, we modified this one, right? No, same thing I'll go. Okay, if I now expand this variable in sequence, I'm not able to see that variable value.
Yes.
So if you want to see that variable value, what it has captured, we need to execute that particular mapping or the variable or that load plan with log level as 6.
Okay.
Then only the variable value will get captured in the log, because these are dynamic, right? It will pick the value at runtime, so we don't know. So we need to execute with log level as 6. Okay, it's not mandatory though, but like no, as I said, with log level 6 it will write maximum log.
Okay.
Okay, and here you can go to the code and actually see what has been executed
Okay.
for anything, for any mapping or anything. You can just go to the code and you can see the actual code that has been executed by ODI.
Okay.
Okay, so we will cover when we create mappings, how to call these variables, everything we'll see. Since you asked the
Yeah.
doubt, I thought let me clear that doubt. Okay, so then we have sequence. So if you remember, in the database also we created the sequence, right?
Yes.
Just the numbering 1 2 3 4, or starting from
Yes.
101. So same similarly, even in ODA level also we can create the sequences. These user functions are nothing but we can create some function and call it in n number of mappings.
Function. What we will do? What we will. What?
Any reusable code, not complete code, but functions. Basically small functions we can write and call it in mappings in the packages.
Okay. We'll do practically when we will do
Right,
mappings everything.
right. And now the main concept is this knowledge module. So without the knowledge modules, you cannot create any mapping. This is
Yes.
the core heart for the ODI process. How it
Yes.
moves the data from source to target, how transformation logics are applied, everything. The core is this knowledge modules, which would be generating the code in the backend.
Okay.
Okay, so basically a knowledge module is a code template, okay, containing sequence of commands necessary to implement any data integration task.
Okay. There's some types. What when we use everything? Can you tell me?
Sorry, Ranga?
At what time we can use which knowledge model, and there is some types also in that I yet. Can you tell me that?
Yes, like we are going for the next is that one only. Okay, so as you can see, Oracle provides 6 types of knowledge modules.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is the reverse engineering. Okay, this reverse
Okay.
engineering knowledge module is used to reverse engineer the data stores.
Okay.
Okay, then we have loading knowledge module. Loading knowledge module, or the LKM, is used to extract the data from source and load it into the staging environment. Here, staging means intermediate $C tables, $I tables, what ODI creates, right? So it is that staging, not the staging that we create here, not the SDE ones. Okay,
Okay.
this is internal to the ODI, extracting the data from source and loading it into ODI temporary tables.
Okay.
So if you remember, during the comparison between ELT and ETL, I explained you, right? It's ELTL actually.
Yes.
So extract the data from source and load it into the temporary staging area within that particular database. So that loading is there, right? From source to
Yes.
the temporary staging area. This loading knowledge module will take care of that.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have CKM. CKM is check knowledge module. This knowledge module will check for the constraints, like the not null constraint, primary key constraint, foreign key constraint, and if any other constraints that you define in the database or at the ODA level. So it will check for those constraints, basically for the data quality purpose.
Okay.
Okay,
And I think there is sub types of in like each knowledge model also, no?
sorry,
In each knowledge model there is subtypes also, no?
subtype.
I mean,
What do you mean?
LKM there are so types of LKM submodules like that from Oracle to SQL like that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, we have like different knowledge modules. We have different LKM knowledge modules because like
Yes,
we
that.
have different technologies, right?
Yes. That I need. Can you tell me that deeply? If you have notes something.
Yeah. Okay. So now we have created a mapping, okay, to
Okay.
load the data from source Oracle table to Teradata target table.
Okay.
And we have created one more mapping to load the source MySQL DB table to Teradata target table.
Okay.
So in these two cases, we cannot use the same LKM knowledge module. Okay,
Okay.
we cannot use the same LKM knowledge module. Here we'll have to choose LKM Oracle to Teradata. Okay,
Okay.
and in this case, we'll have to use LKM MySQL to Teradata. Okay, so depending upon the technology, the knowledge module will change.
Okay.
We'll basically use the LKM only to load data from source to the intermediate staging area. Okay,
Okay.
depending upon the technology from where to where we need to load, the knowledge module will change. We have to choose
Okay.
the particular knowledge module. If it is from MySQL to Teradata, we'll use LKM MySQL to Teradata. If it is
Okay.
Oracle to Teradata, we'll use LKM Oracle to Teradata. If it is from Oracle to Oracle, then we'll use LKM Oracle to Oracle.
Okay.
Okay. Similarly, if you are using like DB link, okay, your source is Oracle, target is Oracle, then we can create a DB link between these two databases so that the data movement is faster. So in that case,
Okay.
we'll use LKM Oracle to Oracle DB link.
Okay.
So like that, like depending upon our requirement, we'll be choosing different load knowledge module LKM.
Okay.
But the purpose of LKM is same: extract the data from source and load it into a temporary staging area, which will be created by ODI.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the reason why we need to be aware of which knowledge module to be used. It's not actually like
Okay.
sub knowledge module, subtype of knowledge module or something. It's just the different versions of knowledge module.
Okay.
So depending upon our requirement, we'll have to use the knowledge module.
Okay.
And in certain cases, there might be like no, the knowledge module which Oracle provides by default might not suit your requirement. So in those cases, we will create our own knowledge module, or to the existing knowledge module, we will make some changes. So to make those changes, we'll be using the Jython language.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, to explain you once again, a knowledge module is nothing but a code template. Okay, which
Okay.
contains a sequence of commands necessary to
Okay.
perform the data integration task. Okay,
Okay.
and if you go to the operator and see, all the knowledge modules will be creating some code which will be executed at the runtime.
Okay.
Okay, and similar to variable sequences, even we can create the global knowledge modules, which can be like used across multiple projects.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have the integration knowledge module. Okay. This integration knowledge module will pull the data from that staging area, intermediate staging area, where
Okay.
the LKM loads the data from source to intermediate staging, right? So
Yes.
this IKM will extract the data from the internal staging area, performs all the transformations, okay, and then
Okay.
finally loads the data into target.
Okay.
Okay. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this.
Can you send me notes of detailed information if you have?
Yeah, yeah, that notes also I'll try to provide. Okay.
If provide where I will see, I will get some more detailed information.
Yeah, yeah, I'll there are Oracle documentations available. Okay, which I'll share it with you. Okay, where you will have the detailed information on
Okay.
these knowledge modules and everything. Okay, how I have shared for database, data warehouse, right? Similarly,
Yes.
I'll share the complete notes for ODI as well.
Okay.
So when you execute any mapping, Ranga, are you there?
Yes.
So when we create a mapping, the data from source is extracted and loaded into a
Okay.
$C temporary table by the load
Okay.
knowledge model.
Okay.
So the purpose of load knowledge module is to extract data from source and load it into the $C table.
Okay.
That's it. Then the IKM will come into picture. It will extract the data from $C and load it into $I.
Okay.
And then the CKM
Whatever
will check.
data is there in the staging table, same data will be loaded into I table, I dollar table.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then this CKM will check for any errors, like no not null errors, or like no primary key violations, foreign key violations, and all those things it will check. And if there are any erroneous records, those records will get loaded into this $E table.
Okay.
So once this is done, once again the IKM will load the data from $I to the target table, and in between if there are any transformation rules, all those things will be applied while loading the data into this target table.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
if you go to the operator and if you have expanded any mapping, you would have seen these tables: C I E tables.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. In interviews, sometimes they will ask, if I want to like no change this C table to something else, or this I table, table, how can we do that? So
Means
do you
name
remember?
of the table or what?
See, if I have a source table
Yes.
as like employee,
Okay.
so a table will be created in the by ODI as C underscore employee.
I think we can do this. I think while we are creating that schema, work schema, at that time we can do that.
Where exactly you mean by work schema?
In the logical architecture, they will see now. In topology. Not here. I think here is there something. Let me check.
It will be under the physical architecture actually.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Physical architecture.
Here you can see, right?
Yes, we can change there.
Yeah, if we change here, then this naming convention will change. C I
Okay.
E.
Okay.
So like no, this is one of the interview questions which would be asked.
And this will be not for all table.
But
This
this
will
is for
be
like high level.
just we can check.
The people,
This we can check this table name $C only in the operator, not in our main mapping. We cannot see like this names now.
no, no. We need to modify in the physical schema. If you modify here, then while creating
Okay.
these tables, ODI will change from $C to whatever load dollar or
Okay.
anything whatever we give.
Okay.
So these are like automatically created and at the end of mapping dropped by ODI.
Okay.
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 Next we have JKM, generalizing knowledge module. This is used for CDC, the change data capture.
Okay.
And finally, but not the least, the SKM, which is used to deploy or create web services.
It's services.
Yeah. So like mainly we'll be focusing on these three: LKM, CKM, and IKM.
CP. Okay.
Because to create a mapping, we need these three, or at least
o-
LKM and IKM.
Okay.
Without CKM also we can create a mapping. Okay, if there are no constraints, then we don't even need the CKM. But LKM and
Okay.
IKM are a must for any mapping.
o- Okay.
This JKM, SKM, we would be like very rarely using.
Okay.
And finally, the markers. Markers, I said, right? It's just to mark. Like, if you have created any mappings, you can just mark it. Like, what is the priority of that mapping? Or like, what is the progress of that particular mapping, etc.
Okay.
So just a like, identifier. That's it. Okay? So
Okay.
we'll stop for here today, Ranga. And tomorrow we'll start to create the mappings.
Okay. And
Okay.
one more note is HD in the sense just we have the data source data. Okay.
Source
And
dependent
SL,
access.
yes. Silos in the sense what which data will stored there.
That will be source independent, which means moving the data from staging to the warehouse or staging to the data mart.
Where silos means.
Yes. And
Like
then we have
okay. And PLP
and then
means.
we have PLP. Like PLP is post load processing. Like in certain cases we'll be creating some aggregate data. Like on top of the sales fact, we might create sales yearly aggregate data.
Okay.
So basically for those kinds of aggregations for reporting purpose,
Okay.
etc. Those will come
We
under
can
the PLP.
okay, we can do that. How we will do that everything that we need that process.
Yes.
And like in silos, we will get the staging data. And that's everything we can do like that only.
Yes,
How that
staging to
real
the
time
way.
will look. How we can do in real time.
Right.
And where are these all data we can store in data warehouse? There we can do create the dimensions, the tables we can do it there, or how we will do that.
Right. In the data warehouse, we'll create the dimensions in the facts.
But in ODI we will not do that.
ODA is just to move the data. So in the database, we'll be designing them.
But when we see in ODI mapping, there is some tables like dimension tables, some tables like FS, that fact staging table, that all tables is there now.
Right.
How the tables will come if you do the dimensions and tables will do that in modifying data warehouse. How that fact tables, staging tables will come into picture into ODI mappings.
So like here we would be creating that.
this is the tables,
Mhm.
source
So
tables.
here,
Okay,
so here in the data warehouse, we'll create countries underscore dimension.
okay,
And while creating the mapping over here, you will say, since this is SDE, you will say SDE customers. Okay.
okay.
While in SIL or the silos, if just we come consider, then here we'll say give the mapping name as SIL underscore customer dim. That's it.
But the data
It's
may
just
be
the naming
different now. The
convention.
format of the data is same.
Sorry.
The format of the data will be different from silos and SD now.
See, that depends on how we design our dimension and the fact tables.
Okay, see the dimension in the sense that we have the entire data. When we take fact, we will not have the same data whatever present in the dimension. The same data will not have in the fact table.
Right.
That's right. Okay, if you just we can modify the names of the table, but data for the fact table and the dimension table, the data may be different. No, how it will
No,
apply?
no, the data will be different, but like no, as we proceed, you will get more clarity. Right now, like
Okay,
no, yeah. Since this is new to you, you are little bit confused. Okay. So
okay,
as we progress, things will be like no much clearer for you.
okay. And it's like in my plot, I will use dimension tables and some fact tables, some FS tables, some F tables, and they are doing some mappings. I need that formats, how they are doing, how the data is there. Like, in that format, I need.
Yeah. So like now we'll be creating the SDE mappings, SIL, PLP, everything. Okay.
Yeah.
But
And in
the
under that
naming
there is
might be
some.
different. See,
Okay,
here this is a like no name, right? So you can write any name. Here I gave SIL
okay,
customer name.
okay.
Okay. In your project, they might use something different. Like no, they might use custom.
Not that okay I can get.
Hmm.
But when we enter into mapping, they do mapping like they're using some dimension tables and they are loading the data into the fact tables, FS
Right.
tables, the fact staging table. And when we
Right.
go to PLP, they are loading the data into the FS table, F table like that. So the same format we need to follow here. That's I'm telling.
Okay.
And regarding according to that, you can get data, you can prepare data. So we can it may be useful for me.
Okay. Sure.